Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today, we're joining you from a Wookiee nudist colony. They're making you hang up the bandoleros and everything at the front door, and no holsters allowed. So
I thought it was a carpet convention. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's all that. It's kind of a it's sort of anticlimactic, I will say. But hey,
the taxidermy has come to life.
Yeah, they just like to gather. But anyway, welcome to Geek
Lurking
Tank
at
Radio,
the Wookiee
everybody.
Wash.
I would like to welcome everybody to my final episode of Geek Tank Radio until we find a new booker for our locations.
I don't know, man. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And guys, it's we've got a new home. It's good to be here, man. So new format, I should say, too. So, but guys, I got a little business to take care of real quick before we jump into
you
things.
couldn't have done that before we got on air?
You're already shilling. We've only been here like 20 seconds.
All right, well, let's set the table first then. So Alan has got an interesting science story. Basically, the video game Asteroids has come to life.
Oh, yeah.
And it's now part of our culture, which is pretty exciting. Apparently, monsters or ghouls or something are tormenting American Airlines, and it would be a dereliction of duty if we didn't at least update everybody on Andor, which is the new Disney Plus series. I'm spoiler. It's awesome. So I'm just gonna say
that's not a spoiler, Joe.
Well, if you're wondering what our opinion is, but we got a lot to get to today. But before we get to that, I also want to mention that in addition to hosting Geek Tank Radio, we also run the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, and some deadlines are approaching. This year, we're going to be at the Memphis Marriott East. November 18th through 20th, and we just want to remind everybody, if you have, Brandon, are the panels full?
The panels are not full. We still have a few spaces, but they're going quick.
Yeah.
But I do have the majority of everything planned out as far as the timing goes, which we'll hopefully get that up here within the next week.
Okay, so if you're one of these people that want to get involved and you love to wait till the last minute, please don't. It's already last minute.
It was last minute 3 weeks ago.
2 months ago. So go to the website, go to memphiscfc.com, check out the action over there, go to our Facebook page and like the Facebook page, the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, and send us messages and try to get on the stick, and please, because we're going to be making announcements as we get closer.
We are completely sold out on vendor space, correct?
Yeah, unfortunately, the vendor booths are full. I've had to put some people on waiting lists and everything, but we'll unpack that.
We'll find a place in the parking lot for you.
Yeah, we'll give updates, but the big thing was just Brandon is pulling his hair out because he always gets these requests right at the last minute.
Right at the last minute.
Ask you to not do that. But the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, it's a blast. It's our 12th annual, and we can't wait.
Man, we're getting old.
But guys, we're gonna kick things off. We're gonna let Max chime in with some anime talk, right? I mean,
really?
Had to set the mood.
Okay. Max just likes to push buttons, but
quite literally push buttons.
But Max, this is an anime I'm sort of horrified to admit that I'm fascinated by, but it's, anyway, go ahead.
I wanted to talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, since recently on Netflix they released the second part of season 5, I believe, which is the second part of part 6. And anyways, I wanted to kind of take a little deep dive to explore the creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, who has a very bizarre adventure himself. His name is Hirohiko Araki, and he actually draws a lot of inspiration from classical art and also from Western media, which I really enjoy.
Well, I will say this, folks: if you've got Netflix and you're scrolling around and you see, the thumbnail for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, just hit it. And just take a few minutes to at least look at the art, because you're going to go, these characters are the weirdest and most bizarre-looking characters I've ever seen.
Which is funny, because Araki even said that he wanted to have a sort of like grounded, everyday fashion, but with like a, what? What is this?
Where you're like, why is that whole... why do you have a midriff reveal on a parka or something? Just who knows? Just weird stuff. But
anyways, I wanted to get into the origins of like where he got some of his inspiration, which is pretty cool. So what's also kind of interesting about Araki is when he first got into the manga industry, I believe for the first 6 years or so, back and forth, he just kept getting his works rejected, even when he tried to get into manga in the first place. And it wasn't until his magnum opus, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, that he really started kind of come to and everything, and like kind of gain the fame that he and recognition that he deserved. And so what's interesting, I like how I kind of draw a little bit of it on the comparison to the reason why Star Wars is so successful, because Star Wars draws a lot of inspiration from a classic mythology and just good storytelling of classic tales of good and evil. With JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, they get a lot of their art and inspiration from some of the classics. Araki even cited that he got inspiration from Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo when it comes to like the idealized human figures and everything. Because when you look at the first few seasons of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, these guys look like Greek god statues, essentially.
I always like that in superheroes or science fiction or something. You know, I like where there's classic themes. Like I mean, Rogue One to me has all sorts of classic themes in there, and Star Wars, like you said, there's just basic. Good old-fashioned, samurai stuff, Alan. It's just, mythology, everything. So.
And the fun thing with this, when you look at Araki's work, he really does take just kind of a normal story, add a big dose of, let's just shake the box really, really hard, and now we're just going to pick it up and run with it, which makes for... it is a truly named show. It is honestly a bizarre adventure.
And you know what I like about it, too? Araki was very unconventional for his time. He was one of the first manga artists to actually include a female as a central a protagonist in the series, and also a paraplegic, which is very interesting.
Wow.
His name was Johnny Joestar, and he literally rides on a horse because he's a horse racer in order to get around.
Whatever he does, I can tell you this, that I didn't care about this show at all. I was like not interested, but a character would pop on the screen that has the weirdest haircut or the most bizarre outfit, and because of that, I started watching. And I'm like, okay, I'll watch a few minutes of this. And then I'm like, okay, well, I've already binged 8 episodes. And so whatever he's doing, he's attracting people. And maybe just the aesthetic alone is unique enough to draw people in.
And it's also fun to see what sort of references he gets. Because, like, oh, wait, he just mentioned Green Day. He just mentioned that.
Yes.
It's, like, pretty fun.
A lot of musical cuts. So,
yeah, and a lot of Western cuts and everything.
And, so we'll be following JoJo's Bizarre Adventure with great interest. But
you say with great interest.
One thing we're definitely following, and we can't wait to discuss when we come back, Asteroids, the video game, is now real. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And it's time, Alan.
Oh, it's time.
Hail science!
What are we calling this, Alan? Asteroids, the video game, the reality show?
We're calling this Allan Told You So.
Hey, I was in on the... Hey, full disclosure, folks. If you go back and listen to an episode of Geek Tank Radio from maybe 5 years ago in our archives, I seem to remember being laughed at when I proposed this idea. And Alan and I were the only ones standing true. I think Brandon might have half-heartedly supported it.
I personally didn't care.
Okay. I mean,
Brandon was over there too busy playing Asteroids on his phone and chasing a Pokemon.
No, I was going to say, given that time, I was playing Pokemon while y'all were talking.
That's probably true. But Alan, this is really earth-shattering. This is cool.
This is
it's
rock-shattering. Yeah. Welcome to the double asteroid redirection test.
Wait. Double asteroid.
The double asteroid redirection test.
These guys and their acronyms. So
yes,
the DART
that's how
program.
That's what DART stands for.
Awesome.
Wow.
Okay.
That's cool.
So the fact that the Earth has been hit by celestial objects is beyond contestation, right?
Oh, there's
we've been hit. We've been hit recently.
We know what vibranium's all about.
Oh, yeah. We've been watching the movies, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So, here's the idea. What do you do if you don't want to get hit by that rock?
Well, I know what I do.
I don't talk back.
There you go. Well, let's just say in the science world, you move the rock, or you try to move that rock that's coming towards you.
Absolutely.
So
I think that's brilliant.
A few years ago, NASA says, well, it's a great idea, and it makes a wonderful movie, but can it actually be done?
Right. Sorry, Alan. In the movies, weren't they going to send a nuclear bomb up to it? Which to me doesn't have enough speed and oomph to get there on time, right? Or
well,
And I don't know what the
You know,
explosions do in space, but okay.
All right,
Anyway,
well,
go ahead.
You know what, Joe? You just went through a short laundry list of many of the questions
Oh, okay.
that were being asked.
See, Brandon?
So how would this work? What would this work?
I'm gonna
How
go
does
play
this work?
Pokemon again.
And, well, then I have to say, because of the camera mounted on the DART rocket itself and the Hubble and the Webb, wow, do we have the best selection of pictures ever.
That's the cool part of this. They launched a missile or whatever they launched, and we got real-time video of it, right? I mean,
Oh, we got picture by picture, and if you thought the command center room goes crazy when we land something.
oh yeah. They like to blow stuff up
They
too.
were
They're like anybody.
all right, they were at the name of this show was Geek Tank Radio.
Oh, yeah.
Now you know why.
Oh yeah.
Because this is about as geeky as it gets. We hit an asteroid with a rocket.
Can I ask you something, Alan? Because
Yes.
I know that I don't remember the size of this asteroid, but I want to say it was a pretty good size, wasn't it? The size of like a building or something like
Well,
that.
we were actually looking at a dual asteroid, and we hit the smaller of the two so that we could actually study the impact it would have on its rotation around the larger one.
Because they said it was, I don't know how many millions of miles away. So I don't know that it was an imminent threat, but even millions of miles is something you don't play games with when you got a big asteroid coming at you.
Right,
So
'cause-
this is more to see if this is a proof of concept, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So, all right, what we did was we found Dimorphos and Didymos.
Okay.
And Didymos is the larger of the two. And because of their duality, this made them the perfect binary system to try this on. Because what we wanted to do was leave the bigger one alone and hit the one that's doing the circling and see if we could change that trajectory a little bit. So we were looking at about 500 feet or so.
Uh-huh.
So if you guys think you're good at playing video games,
I mean,
see if
well-
you can hit a 500-pound rock hurtling through space at thousands of miles an hour in three-dimensional timing and nail this bad boy.
I mean, that
this
is
is some
unbelievable.
shooting text. That's all I got to say.
That's taken pool to the next level, right? I mean, these guys would be expert pool players.
Oh, yeah.
so,
This is intergalactic pool shooting.
I mean, that is cool. Have they tried this before? Is this the first time they've done something like
we've
this?
had a lot of preliminary science to get to this point, but this is the crowning glory. This is that, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're actually going to push the button and we're going to shoot something. And we did.
I mean, that is exciting because it's like, and then the other thing, this seems highly relevant because if you've listened to Geek Tank Radio for any amount of time, you know that Allan has warned us that we are every 1 or 2 centuries, or maybe, I don't know how often, we enter into what's called the dirty part of the galaxy where there's way more asteroids and meteors and just space
junk.
debris.
Just
So
little pieces of stuff.
it's like driving behind a gravel truck or something. So you got to really learn to avoid and dodge, and So this is great technology we're developing.
And the best thing is with all of our modern science and with all of our and look at your cell phone, because your cell phone is part of galactic science.
Sure.
Because your cell phone and your GPS don't work without satellites.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is not an earthbound technology. Your phone call to the person sitting in the next room to you actually bounces off of something and comes back. So the thought of something like a tiny little pebble plowing through your satellite at 19,000 miles per second, it'll leave a hole.
Let me play devil's advocate here, Alan. No, actually, this isn't devil's advocate. I'm thinking, okay, I'm thinking of Elon Musk. You know how you talked about these asteroids and things that might be made of materials we actually want to get our hands on, like gold or something like that. Well, could you, if you got really specific with this, could you get good enough where you directed it and maybe plowed it into the moon or something like that and said, well, you know what, we can easily get up to the moon and get this giant asteroid full of gold or something like that? Or is that getting a little too close for comfort. So.
Well, there is a
I think that might be a little
program at
close.
the University of Colorado about galactic mining. So I don't know what to say to that to you, Joe, other than you get a degree in it.
I want to get in on this.
So-
Man. We need to at least invest in this.
Oh, we do.
That needs to be in our portfolio. Space mining.
It does. Because, guys, we took a shot and it worked.
I mean, that is just awesome. So hats off, NASA. You guys are the best. Well, Allan's bringing us another interesting story when we come back. Ghouls are apparently haunting the American Airlines intercom system.
What else is new?
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And apparently, monsters are on the loose, Alan. We're having more problems on the airlines.
I'm going to look directly at Brandon and go, all right, it is our favorite time of the year, right?
It really is.
It's Halloween.
Yes.
Halloween
It's time
starts.
for spooky
Spooky
stuff.
season.
Right.
Halloween starts in
All
July
right, the
for
one
you guys.
place
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want to have spooky season
Yeah.
On
is
an
trapped
airplane?
in a pressurized metal tube being flown through the air.
I agree.
Unless you're William Shatner and you can
No.
hang your hat on a career. On that
I don't
one.
even want to do that.
Okay.
So, all right, the latest rage across TikTok and the other social medias is people are recording ghoulish moans and sounds appearing over the intercom at poor American Airlines.
I want to just go ahead and say that's scary, but I think it might be scarier that you're trolling TikTok.
Oh, that is weird. Yeah. What happened to you, Alan? And,
I'm just
and
saying.
It's better than some of the stuff they
Hey,
record
I got a
on
lot of
airlines,
TV
so, I
shows
mean,
to promote.
Yeah.
What can I tell you?
That's true.
Okay.
So I'm looking at this, and when you see the thing that says ghoulish moans are haunting airlines. All right, well, several people have actually recorded these things on their phones,
Right.
and it just basically sounds like one of the three of us sitting in a closet somewhere every so often going,
Now we're sure the co-pilot isn't just bored and
Oh, no.
having a little
And,
fun
and,
here.
and there's not a microphone in the bathroom.
all right,
Okay.
oh, man, trust me, this is not amusing the airline.
No.
This is amusing the passengers, but I assure you, captains of airplanes are not amused.
Now,
Because this is coming over their intercom.
Right. Now, I have a question for you, though. I know that years back, we had issues with a certain model plane that was using salvaged parts from Flight 401, or 409, and because that plane had gone down,
Right,
lost
yes,
a lot of
yeah,
lives.
right.
And apparently, they were having spooky encounters with individuals who may have been lost on those planes because they were using salvaged parts, and they removed all that. Now, they didn't just, I don't know, American didn't just buy up a bunch of, old, intercom systems from those planes, did they?
No. This
I mean,
actually sounds like somebody in a back seat somewhere with a Mr. Microphone periodically.
So it's a prank.
Now that's an old reference. I doubt a lot of younger. I doubt Max knows what you're talking about, Mr. Microphone.
That's
That's awesome.
just one of those. Now, but the problem, see, there's a reason why for so many years you couldn't use your cell phone, that you turned off your cell phone when you got on a
Right.
plane.
Right.
Because all of that equipment, we just didn't want to take the chance that, your old BlackBerry happened to be on the exact same frequency as, I don't know, the tail rudder.
Sure.
So,
no
you
kidding.
I don't know, man. That
You're
could be
checking
fun.
your email and the plane's wagging back and forth,
Right.
We've gotten past that now, and digital technology's moved to a point, but yet we go.
They still recommend you use airplane mode while you're in flight.
I just want to
Exactly.
make sure I understand that you don't have to be wearing those headphones or things
Oh,
like that.
no.
No.
Everybody's hearing
This
this.
is coming over
was-
where they give you the flight instructions and the safety speech.
Okay.
And all of a sudden you hear,
In case of crash, and all of a sudden you hear,
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
yeah, when
Okay.
when
You know, when they
Casper
come on and they
starts
say we're-
cackling,
Yeah.
Yeah, when they come on and say the captain is not amused, we're sorry about this, and then suddenly he goes, you're like, oh my gosh, seriously?
Could Putin have hacked in on this, or is he's
I
got
think-
his hands full with other stuff?
Just
you know
based
what?
on that-
He is the least of the worries on this
Okay.
particular issue.
just based on those sounds, I'd say the hackers coming out of Tasmania.
Okay.
So, but here's the thing. All right, now I'm not confirming or denying that I know that this ever happened,
Uh huh.
But, periodically people have done things like take a cheap burner phone and leave it programmed to strange alarms like people screaming and hidden them in walls.
I don't know
and
what you're talking
buildings they were
Yeah,
renovating.
this sounds like a disgruntled employee or former
And,
employee.
so I'm
situation.
having to wonder if somewhere in here on that, when they get through tearing apart the intercom system, if they don't find some form of black box.
I think it'll be something different. It's not that hard to program a recording into the plane's own diagnostics.
Huh.
It could.
I mean-
it could. I mean, that's my
'cause-
theory. My
'cause-
theory is this is going to be either some kind of, it's going to be an implant of some kind.
I mean, they've got ways of, playing, pre-recorded messages on there, as you're coming into a plane, so the pilot doesn't have to focus on that anymore. So I could easily see someone who just angry about their job, just tired of
Puts
cleaning
in
up
a
after
simple
people.
for loop at a random interval and just has this thing play strange. Because it is obviously not a mechanical sound. It's
Okay.
not a screech or a buzz or something like that. It is obviously a voice making just odd sounds.
Okay, wait. This is TikTok.
No,
it's
this
not
is
just-
a lot
but
of
that's the thing,
different
it's-
sources.
Okay,
not
because I'm going to
just
say
TikTok anymore.
somebody's just trying to go viral, and they're like, okay, I know how to do this.
No, there are
and they're-
numerous of them.
Okay.
Now, the one I saw was a filmmaker named Emerson Collins.
Mm-hmm.
And he is just sitting there just dying laughing in his seat. And he's showing the other passengers around him. And every time it happens, they're all going, WT. What the is going on?
Huh.
And, the poor flight attendant it's some kind of prank. It's not funny. All right.
We
on
are
one
getting close
hand,
to Halloween. So
if I
mean,
were the pilot, I would be, let's just say, would go to a new level. Being a passenger and watching harmlessly this go on, at least most people are finding it very, very funny.
I don't know, man.
The moment someone asks you what your favorite scary movie is, though, it's like, find that first parachute and just jump.
yeah.
It's kind of like, do you like movies? When suddenly I hear something out of the movie Airplane, because if I get asked, do I like movies about gladiators? That's
Right.
gonna be
That's
it. That's gonna be it.
you just took it to a whole different level. Alan.
Is this just one plane?
Oh no, it's
No.
been several.
Okay, because I'm like, okay, one plane, who cares? But now you're talking
Oh
about
no,
a system-wide
This has
failure.
been more than one flight.
Is American Airlines just trying to gin up some attention?
No,
Nah,
the
not this
problem-
way.
I
They're
guess-
not.
The thing
Yeah.
is, they've been the most consistent on keeping their flights going through the pandemic. They've got the clout they need right now because they're one of the few people that they cancel fewer flights than other airlines.
Okay, so it's a competitive airline. There's some dirty work afoot.
I can't wait to figure out what it is.
Well, we'll be following the story
yeah.
with great interest. But, guys, it's time to move along to an undeniable triumph. So far, we're 4 episodes into Andor, and we're going to discuss it when we come back. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And man, what a show so far. Weird, unexplained, paranormal. But now it's time to get to downright solidly written, awesome science fiction. And we're going to talk about Andor. We're up to episode 4, Brandon, and I've already watched it twice. Some of the episodes I've already watched 3 times. I'm spoiler, I love this show so far.
Really? I would have never guessed.
Well, and if you don't know, Rogue One is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. I could recite that movie, by heart. I've seen it many times. But Brandon, this is sort of a, I'd say a little bit of a new flavor.
It's definitely different.
Yeah.
It's we've seen gritty, with Star Wars before. We've seen seedy underbelly, but this is really the first time we've seen just pure. I don't know if it's criminality.
Yeah.
One thing I kind of appreciate about the show, though, is the fact that the characters, even in the rebellion side, they're striving to be good and for a good cause, but they're still not necessarily the best of peoples, or like how this also represents the ability for a person who's like a righteous member of the Empire and everything. Because one character, the aspiring inspector and everything, he's just trying to do his duty and everything in the place of complacency.
I mean, that's true, because it's not like, okay, the rebellion's over here and these are the squeaky clean good guys, and over here is the Empire and they're the dirty. No, I mean, I actually kind of like that one dude.
Well, I mean,
he's on the Empire's side, but I don't have anything.
You can
against
totally
him.
like that guy. He stands for something,
right?
You don't see that a lot in an imperialistic regime. You don't really see a whole lot of shows that show that there are people who, while yes, they're working for the Empire, they still have an integrity.
Right.
He felt that those two officers who were killed, even though they were sleazebags, you investigate this. You go after the people who did it.
Right.
It
does. It opens questions, and it really does kind of illustrate the ugliness of war and rebellions. Nothing ever happens where it's just sunshine and daisies. Both sides get dirty in a war. I hate to say it, but.
Well, it is also a kind of a fresh look at the not Skywalker world.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of off track. That story is happening and it's running over there.
Right.
But this is a different story.
This is what the everyman is feeling during the rebellion.
Yeah,
during the Empire.
This is that stuff that led up to why we had to have A New Hope.
Well,
this is what's going on over here. And this is the more boots on the ground, but it is also with different environments.
Right.
So the cinematographer on this has a lot more to play with than the Sahara Desert or some big spaceship.
What I'm feeling when I watch this is that I should have wrote this down. Who's directing this and who did the writing? Because Tony somebody, but whoever's involved really seems to respect the intelligence of the audience, because I've been listening to the dialogue. And one of the reasons I've gone back and watched it twice is because I keep picking up on subtleties and everything. And one very interesting fact was, and I forgot to say, we're dealing in spoilers here, folks. But when you're showing that scene with all of the imperial, I want to call them bureaucrats, and they're in that round room, and they're whatever those guys are.
They're the protocol specialists.
Well, there's a lot of a lot of sexism going on. There's two women in there. One gets belittled because, whatever. And then the other one, he's trying to build her up, but he's basically saying, look, you've got an uphill climb if you want to do it.
Yeah.
But they didn't hit you over the head with it like a lot of shows do.
No.
Like, it's like, okay, it's subtle. The message is in there, but it doesn't annoy me. Like, I think it's pretty interesting.
Well, I think Tony Gilroy, who's the writer on this and one of the executive producers is doing an awesome job of as clean a wartime dialogue as you can have.
Yeah.
And I think it is really showing. The other thing Andor is doing really, really nicely is pacing.
Yes.
I noticed that we're not trying to shove 4 hours worth of movie into 110 minutes so we can get it on the American screen.
That's a very good point, Alan. A lot of times these action movies I keep calling it a movie, but they don't let the characters breathe. Sometimes you need to see them sitting around a campfire and fleshing out their personalities and stuff like that.
Well, especially in this type of war movie, because there's still a lot of, well, what are they going to do and what are we going to do? What are they going to do? What are we going to do? And these are crucial points that fill in the gaps in, what is it now, 10, 12, 15 other movies at this point?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, you get that fact. Well, everybody loves that Easter egg fact when suddenly you go, aha, that's why so-and-so wears the purple beanie.
Boom.
Right.
Okay, but I'm glad you mentioned that, Alan, because in terms of Easter eggs, Max, I think I talked to you about this the other day. When that one guy goes to the payphone, more or less it's a payphone, if you freeze it and you look at the little sign above the payphone, I'm like, that looks like the Death Star beaming something onto a planet or something. And I'm like, okay, if that's, I don't know, it's very subtle and it's very interesting, but it's pretty obvious that's what it is. And I'm like, so is the Death Star now part of their branding in the Empire or something? I don't know. It's pretty cool. Did you miss that, Brandon?
I don't pay any attention to that stuff. I like the story. I don't care about Easter eggs.
I don't normally
I'm that
either.
guy. I just don't.
I find it, if it adds to it just shows
like
a level of detail that I do
When
appreciate.
when I'm watching something like this that's so removed from the saga films, I don't want to be reminded of the saga films. I want to be in a whole new universe. It's kind of like when you play the various games where you don't get to be a Jedi or anything like that. It makes it feel more realistic.
Yeah.
Now it more original.
Yeah.
Now Easter eggs are going to be fine. I mean, like, we saw with Obi-Wan with the 501st soldier who was like a homeless guy now.
Yeah.
He knew who Obi-Wan was. He didn't care. But in situations like this, there's a lot going on here that I'm trying to take in that has nothing to do with the other. So I really didn't notice it, but I probably wouldn't have really even thought about it if I had seen it.
See, I like subtlety, folks. Hollywood, give us subtlety. Respect
Look,
our intelligence.
Andor
because
gave me the
we'll pick it up,
the closest thing that the Star Wars series has ever given me to a dog with B.
I was just happy it finally rained.
Yeah. But, guys, we're going to be following Andor every
Rains all the
week.
time on Camino.
We can't wait. But, guys, it's time to wrap things up. It's time to get out of here and go watch some more Andor. Yeah. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Allan Gilbreth.
I'm Maximilian.
And I am Brandon Olmstead, welcoming you to our new home.